Hello. So I wanted to record a video on something that just happened to me, which is a really good example of what's going on in the world at large. I use Microsoft Hotmail, I always have, and because I have moved house and I'm signing in, and Microsoft will somehow know that I'm signing in via a different internet station or whatever, a different router. When I tried to sign in using my ordinary password, it says, "You've tried to sign in too many times using the wrong password," which is a lie. It's not just incorrect, it's a lie. Okay? I know it was the right password because I copied and pasted it from the same location I always do. And this has happened before, whenever I move to a different router. So Microsoft is out and out lying, making the statement, "You've signed in too many times using the wrong," and giving no option as to what to do. It's lying. Now this, I've gotten around it, I've fixed the problem. But the point is, there is no care given at all anymore by these multinational corporations such as Hotmail and Google, or whatever you want to call them, or whatever their names are, towards the customer. And this contemptuous, arrogant, condescending, rude behaviour has got to stop. But the problem is monopoly. Monopoly always causes this problem. That's why monopoly is bad for the customer, bad for the user. Now, we've not only got a monopoly problem in certain fields, we have a monopoly problem worldwide, caused by these New World Order scumbags who have taken control of all of the systems of our country's governments and basically most of the big companies in the private sector, if not all of them. What you say as a customer doesn't matter at all, ever. You don't have any power at all because of the monopoly. All they have to do is say, well, you don't have any power, Mr. Customer, so now just disregard what you have to say. Now, when there is a competitive situation, there is competition involved, and people in charge are responsive, and I don't know what the word is, they have to give account of themselves to the customer, or in the case of government, to the public, then they toe the line a bit more. The problem here is that even our own government is not under the control of what you think is the British government. It's under the control of people behind the scenes manipulating it. So they have a front man in charge who is the Prime Minister, but who has no power at all, and who knows they have no power at all, because every 5 minutes they do something wrong, or supposedly wrong, poof, they're gone. The British government has had so many leaders in the last decade or so, you could barely shake a stick at the number, if that's a reasonable way of stating it. And that's to demonstrate that to anyone who would dare to become Prime Minister, if you don't toe the line, we'll get shot of you. All right? They don't have any power. So the public are now, well, what do we do? These people are not accountable, because what happens is they just get rid of them. You just get a new puppet in place. Oh, that puppet made a decision that the guys running the show didn't like. There's another puppet for you. So it's a joke. And it's going to lead to a very, very, very serious situation. Guaranteed. It cannot not. You can't take over a country and put puppets in place and pretend that people aren't going to be like, no, that's not our leadership. And they just won't notice. So it's going to get very, very serious in this country. Absolutely guaranteed. Now, at the moment, with this current nonsense of feminism involved, what we have is a nation of people who, essentially, most husbands now just let their wife do everything on the little phone now. You can see it when you meet them. They all just, the husband sits there and goes, oh, blah, 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 and then the wife's sitting there going, running their entire lives on the phone. Great. But the man has lost his position in his house. So he's now sitting there essentially redundant. It's really sad to see. And that's if he's in a relationship at all. because a lot of guys nowadays are so disillusioned, they've given up. They won't bother to have a proper marriage or relationship with a woman because it's just not worth it. It's literally not worth it. Marriage isn't worth anything anymore because there's no faith involved in it. There's no spiritual element to it at all. Oh, it's just a piece of paper. Well, people treat it as such. So that's what happens. You end up with marriages. No one's got any marriages anymore, and men are just sitting there going, what the hell happened? And women are going, don't worry, I'll fix it on my phone. And that's what our country, our world has been reduced to. Now, feminism was instituted by a particular group of people who knew that they had to disempower the men of our nations in order to exist in our nations and feed off of our nations. Do a little bit of research and you'll figure out exactly who they are. I'm not going to state any more about them right now, but if you have half a brain, you'll know who I'm talking about. So, what do we have? We have a situation where nothing works, you can't get anything done, these monopolies have to be broken up, and that's just how it has to happen. But it has to happen from a position of power and authority. If you're going, complaining all the time, it doesn't do anything. It's just you're underneath the situation. So we need to get a little bit more responsible as individuals and start understanding the power that we have and start using that power properly. You can't just sit there and go, oh, I'll just watch Netflix and then expect things to get better. People have to really start taking control of things, start taking charge of themselves, their own position with regard to society. Now, this all began because I was trying to get into my Hotmail account and I was treated contemptuously with a lie by a company. It's a huge company and a massive company that has enormous and massive reach. We all know this. Microsoft is huge and Google is huge. These companies are out of control. Literally out of control. Yeah, you might say, oh, it's a little thing. It's not a little thing. Our privacy has been completely obliterated in our society. To the point where now I have to be completely and utterly, I have to feel like a public figure to even express my problems and opinions because I can't get them fixed any other way. So, yeah, with regard to feminism as well, right? The reason that these guys resort to lying is feminism, because the feminine aspect, women have to be treated differently to men. Shut up. Whatever. The point is, they do. It will never change. Women are never going to be the same as men. It's a joke to consider that they are. If a woman is found to be lying, people say, oh, well, she's just a woman. If a man is found to be lying, he is liable for the harshest recriminations. Because his word is his honour, it's his oath, it's his bond. He has to stand for it. That's the truth. If a woman is found to be lying, people just, they make excuses for her. So, because there's feminism nonsense, with this incentive to put women in charge of everything, which is a nonsense, we have a situation where when companies, businesses lie to the consumer, I don't like that word consumer, but to the user, the customer, or whatever, and indeed governments just lie to their population, people say, oh well, never mind, especially women. This is the truth, because there's a higher expectation of honour and honesty from men, because we are the people with whom the buck stops, and that's just the truth. Say what you like. We've created an artificial fantasy world where women are in the same position as men, but it's not real. Because men are the people with whom the buck stops, ultimately, in reality, in the real world. I don't know where I was going with this, but the point is, the responsibility is upon men. So, because we've got this situation where there's this fantasy world where women are apparently treated the same as men, I can't even remember where I was going with this now, but the point is, institutions, governmental institutions and private businesses now treat people with contempt, because women will just go, oh well, never mind, and men at the moment aren't actually bothering to stand up against this sort of thing. I really wish I remember exactly how I was going with that thread of speech, but never mind, it'll come back to me again in the future. I think I've got the message across, though. This feminized dump of a society that we have has to be completely overhauled. Completely overhauled. We need to abandon feminism like it's something on fire in our hands that we need to throw away. It is destroying our society. You can't get anything done. Companies and governments are using feminism to get away with what they want. We have to fix it. And I know what to do. I know exactly how to fix it. We do have to have faith in our society. What do you mean? Religion? No, you have to understand there is a spiritual aspect to this life. However you interpret it to be. And that used to be the backbone of, for example, the honour and decency in society. It's gone. And that has been intentionally removed, again, by this particular group of people who wanted to destroy the structure of our nations so that we were weak. And look what's happened. It's come to pass. It can be fixed, but we need to recover it. Sadly, I know this is a bit of a disjointed speech, but whatever. These people have also infiltrated what we call the church all over the world. Truly. So whatever people nowadays believe is the church is a corrupted situation. Not in all cases, but a lot of them are. And it's taken the soul out of things. But the truth is, me personally, I believe in God. Okay? I would categorize my beliefs as Christian. However, I'm not a churchgoer. Partly because I've tried going to church, and at the moment if you go to an Anglican church, they're empty. If you go to one of the other churches, I find they're really superficial. So I prefer to have my own personal spiritual practices and relationship with God. That's fine by me. I think ultimately that's where it all comes back to. But the point is, if we don't have anything of that type of character in our lives as people, things break down. You can't just rely on science and technology for everything. It's inhuman, and spirituality is a human thing because we have to practice it as humans. So however you do it, if you look at our society, particularly in what we call the West, which has been completely corrupted, and you speak to anyone who's from a less developed country, you'll see they look at our country as just as a mess. They'll come and they'll earn their money here, but they just look upon it as a mess. And I look upon it as a mess. And I want it to be fixed. I want it to be as it used to be, strong and decent. And that's what people really want. So anyway, I'm just commenting on the situation, the way things are, the way that everything's contemptuous, the way that feminism has ruined. I was going to say rotted, but it's ruined our society. And women are victims of feminism. Feminism was never there for women. It's enslaved them. Look at the pressure that women are under nowadays. Incredible pressure. It was just partly to weaken the country, but partly to produce all of these extra people in the workforce. Well, look at them. The whole place is a mess. Anyway, I'm kind of tired and hungry. I need to get some food. But yeah. This all needs to be fixed. I'm glad I've recorded this video now. I will continue recording such videos as long as I have to, until I can somehow get myself in a position where I can really affect positive change in my country at least. All the best to everyone.